I wondered today, because we've had a lot of requests on the video, if it would be, if this would be empty and I would just be talking to everyone else. So I appreciate you coming. Well, it's that time of year, exam time. And at our last, I think I mentioned this at the last 7th grade meeting, which was a few weeks ago, I asked them, how many of you have taken exams or have never taken exams before? And I think just about every hand in the room went up. So just know they are all in the same boat. Their teachers are well aware and are really trying to walk them step by step through this process. Lots of conversation with advisors too. So we want to help them succeed. We know these 7th graders, it's their first go around with this. And of course, this is all working them toward getting to the point of high school, when their exams obviously mean more to their transcript. And we just want to give them the opportunity now to go through the process, to learn how to study. It's a really important piece of it too. So I want to give you just some logistics, first of all, about days and times and what exam days look like, but then also give you, I think, some really concrete strategies to help your son study, which I will also be sharing with them. And I was just telling Matt, I'm not sending it to them today because it is not on their mind today. I think they're all in, are we going to win tonight? So I will wait, but I definitely want to get it to them before the weekend, because they really need to use this weekend to start studying, not just a little bit, but really start studying for exams. Because as I explained to them, the exams, once you start that first exam, it's just one every day, and you take that exam in the morning and then you're tired. Their brains are tired, they are going to need a break, so they can't assume they can just roll right into studying for the next day. That's why they need to start early. So first up, next week on Tuesday and Wednesday, those class days are what we call dead days. So as teachers, we will not be giving any new content. If there is an assessment, it is meant to be helping students prepare for their exam. The grade is supposed to count only if it helps a student's grade. So nothing that might hurt their grade would be counted for them. On Thursday the 8th, we have a noon dismissal, and immediately following the noon dismissal, we will have the first, come on Susan, the first help session. There it is. The first help session, and that will be for the history exam, which is on Friday. So in terms of pickup, they are dismissed at noon. They'll have just a few minutes to kind of gather their things and make their way to help session. Help sessions last typically no longer than an hour, so I think you can expect that in terms of pickup. What we will ask them and what we are asking you to is that on these exam days and this half day is please pick them up as soon as possible. We don't have people in the building to make sure they are making good decisions and make sure they are not walking down to Walgreens to get snacks. We really don't want them walking up and down West End, but we need your help with that. If there is a day where you are unable to get here until later, of course we understand that. I would suggest sending in a lunch, because there will not be lunch service any of those days, and have a conversation with your son about not wandering. So that would be important. Friday, December 9th will be the first exam, and all exams are 9 to 11 a.m. Junior school exams are 2 hours long. High school exams are 3 hours long. So there is a difference there. Each exam day, it's 9 to 11. It's followed by a snack. Mother's Club puts together tables of snacks for the boys to have before they move into help session. And then the help session will be for the exam. That's the next day. And I've seen the help session schedule. Each teacher has their own help session that the boys will be able to go to a room with just their teacher and the friends that they have in that class. Any questions so far? Yes, ma'am.
Are those help sessions guided, or is it just an opportunity to ask questions?
It is an opportunity to ask questions, and what I would recommend for the boys is that is that they go into that help session already having studied for that exam. So it's really kind of a last minute questions. Of course, they're going to use that time the rest of the day, I'm sure, to prepare and review for it, but they shouldn't wait until help session to get started. So here's our exam schedule. Friday, history, Monday, science. Tuesday will be English 8 for our 8th graders, and then our 7th graders will have literature. Wednesday is math. Thursday will be Latin for 8th graders and grammar for 7th graders. And then Friday, there will be some high school exams, but junior schoolers are finished. So technically speaking, they will start their break on that day.
They do not come to school.
That's correct. They do not need to come to school. All right, so here's some study tips. And I'm going to share all of this information again with the boys. So I want you to know what they're hearing and what we're encouraging them to do. I think every teacher has their own set of tips and tricks that they share. But I also want them to get just kind of a bigger picture email from me encouraging them just to take good care of themselves first and then give them some pretty concrete tips for next week. First of all, sleep. Of course, 8 hours is like the gold standard, but their brains need time to process the information that they are studying. Of course, they need the rest. That's important. Hydration is really important for the brain. Recommend that they get some sort of physical activity, whether it's just running around outside, playing fetch with the dog, playing frisbee. It doesn't have to be anything formal, but they need to take a break. They need to give their brain a break. It's going to process the information. And then I think getting their heart rate up, even for a short period of time, can reset them in a way that when they sit back down to study, they're going to be more prepared than if they just sit and scroll through their phone. So we don't recommend that. I know that's what they want to do in their breaks, but really they need to give their brain some space when they're not just bombarding it with images and random bits of information. Nutrition, of course, is important. Not a great week to live off of fast food, but they just need to get some nutritious food into their bodies on a regular basis, and enough food. Just make sure they're eating well. All right, number 2 for them is to create a plan. Like they need to spend, this may take only 30 minutes, but to create a plan, they need to start with their planner, write the exam days into the planner, and then create a daily study plan. So my suggestion to them will be start with Saturday, December 3rd, plan through the end of exams. So there should be something on every day. And I would tell them, okay, first up is history. So go ahead and map out your history study schedule from Saturday until your exam, and then let everything fall in line after that, I think in the order the exams are. Obviously, like with Latin and grammar being at the very end, they have a little more time before that. But I would definitely get the history in place first. 40 minutes is about, like research-wise, I think a good amount of time for them to be really honed in before they just need a break. And again, it's just a quick 5 to 10 minute break to get up and move around, maybe get a healthy snack, get their heart rate up a little bit. I think, I heard that yesterday, and so what I would like to share with the boys is more of a model of here's what a day might look like. And so, yes, I understand that. We've been looking through our files to see if we could find that, because I would love to share that same thing with them, but I will create as close to that as I can. Oh, that'd be great. Right.
much time into science, just exactly what you're describing, but a little more specific given the sequencing of the exam.
Great.
Is what I thought. But
Okay.
I'll,
If you can find that, that would be wonderful.
yeah,
Thank you.
glad you guys are looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course. We recommend they study multiple subjects each day, not just like, man, I'm going 2 to 3 hours on history tonight, but space it out. Again, all going back to the research of having repeated exposure to information will help them learn it better, as opposed to trying to do it all at once. And of course, spreading out the studying for each subject gives your brain time to process the information, and then you take it in again and then process it. Again, it just all goes toward helping them learn best. I will encourage them, of course, to build in longer breaks for meals or maybe just a longer time to get out and burn some energy. It's not a bad idea for them to say, like, okay, if I do like 3 40-minute blocks, I'm going to give myself a reward of, X, Y, or Z. And just to incentivize themselves, and I think if they can do this in little chunks, it feels more manageable. They just need to think about the next chunk. Okay, I can sit down and do 40 minutes, and then I can get up again. That is much more doable to them than saying, I've got to study for exams. That feels so big. So we really have to help them break it down into pieces. In terms of like where to study, please encourage them to set up a spot that, they clear away all the clutter, they have good lighting, and of course a distraction-free zone for them to be in. So when it's go time to actually sit down and get this done, we will all encourage them, set your phone in another room. Just don't even have it near you as a distraction. If they do have to use their laptop to study, there are several distraction blocking softwares that are available, and some of them are apps that they can install on their laptop, also on their phone, which could be a good use in other scenarios. So one for Mac and OS systems is called Self-Control. A Chrome system is Stay Focused. One that works for any platform is called Freedom. I know Freedom will sync across all devices. What these apps do is that they will, you can select what you want to block out. So you can block out, social media, you can block out news, you can block out ESPN if you want to, you can block out games. And here's an example this is from the Freedom website, just of how it works. You choose your sites and your apps that you want blocked, and then you set the schedule to block it on. This one does come with a fee. I don't know what the fee is because I haven't gotten that far with it. I just know this one comes highly recommended, and Mr. Jenkins recommended the other two, so he's had success with them as well. And this one has a Cyber Week sale, so there you go. But I think, I think for the boys, I will tell you this week this has been a high device week. I think I've had probably 10 devices delivered to my desk this week that teachers are collecting because they're either out when they're not supposed to be or they're playing games during study hall or when they're not supposed to. And so, I'm not trying to get into anybody's private business, but I am looking at what they are doing on their laptops. And I saw one tab with a game, one tab with what appeared to be the beginnings of a study guide, one tab with the Mail app opened, and in the Mail app was an active chat going. So, I mean, you know what? They are creative problem solvers. I will give them that. So when we close one door, they figure out how to open another. But, all said, there's so much there for them to be distracted by that we really have to either completely remove the distraction for them, or if they need to use a laptop, is to put one of these apps on there to keep the distractions at bay. Because they like to think, and of course I do too, it's not just them, think that, I can multitask and do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But realistically, if you're studying for 5 or 10 minutes and get distracted by the buzz on your phone and then you come back to it, you really have lost a lot of the progress you made. So they need that sustained focus.
Are there subjects for which we can be pretty sure they don't need a laptop to study?
Well, you know what? I could only answer that if I had the teachers here, because I think that the teachers do things differently. You know, I can speak for history. They do, you know, for instance, a lot of teachers have shared all of their notes with students. I did the same thing. I shared it all in a Google Drive. I mean, that's really the easiest way for me to share that. They do, however, have those handwritten notes in their binder. So this is more for them to check that they have everything in their binder that they're supposed to. And if they, you know, missed a day, they can look into what I've shared with them for that. So, you know, I don't know many classes, maybe some IPS, but the majority don't require a laptop for class on a daily basis. So you're welcome, and you feel free to email a teacher and ask. They'd be happy to help you with that. Any other questions right now? Okay, so I think, you know, when the boys sit down, if their notes are already organized, that's helpful. If not, they need to take time to organize them. And I think what's been happening in a lot of classes recently is, you know, teachers are either having notebook checks or they're saying, let's take time and get everything organized. So I think a lot of that is happening at school, but that's something that they need to do. And then as they review, you know, it's important that they try to learn the information in different ways. So just accessing different pathways. First of all, for instance, for a note-heavy class like history, I will recommend to my students that they take notes on their notes. And that for them, it's like they have to process the information again, but then they need to condense it. So read it and then pick out the most important things. It's very important that they handwrite the notes. The handwriting it's not just the handwriting brain connection, but also it gives them more time to process the information as they are writing it down. For those who need to speak out loud, read or explain key information out loud. They can teach a concept to someone. I've told students, teach it to your dog. You know, if you have animals, just someone to talk to explain a concept to. They can create mind maps or just, you know, create ovals and squares and circles and chunk information together. Using a whiteboard just can be a different way to get up and write something. Using mnemonic devices. Just a lot of different strategies they can use to help them remember information, but with the goal of learning it in different ways, because again, that all goes toward learning it better. I think one thing I would say is that good studying doesn't always look like somebody sitting still at a table. I think good studying can be standing and I'm pacing around my room and I'm talking out loud. Or I had a student once who he didn't want to sit, and he would work at his desk and he would just sit here like this and he would do it, but he would be swaying the entire time. And I mean, he was learning just as well or better than other people, but it was just hard for him to be still. And that was fine. So, you know, I think those opportunities for them to get up and move are fantastic. If they have a tall desk, that makes it really easy to stand and do their work while standing. So just know it looks different for everyone. Some of them might do really well curled up in a beanbag. Others need more of the structure of what you see there. If the beanbag leads them to fall asleep, then it's probably not the best spot. But there's some trial and error involved. Yep, that was the last piece. What questions do you have? And again, I will share this with your sons along with hopefully a more specific outline of blocks of time to study for each subject.
Maybe this is answered somewhere, but does each exam count for a certain percent of each grade?
And they should touch base with their teachers about that. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes?
You had mentioned that majority of the classes don't require them to use their laptop on a daily basis. So obviously he's talking about the exact opposite, that he needs a laptop 20 hours a day. So
Right.
the lessons are online, we just print them, or would they not have to use a laptop?
In terms of their notes?
So,
Or,
I guess he's saying all the information is online.
okay.
So where is it other than their class notes, or is that information so they don't have to?
Yes, so I think in some IPS classes, they do get information posted online, and then it's up to the student to print it out. So he could print it directly from Scholar. History, the history textbook is on their laptops. They also have actual history books, but their notes should all be handwritten and in a binder. I know in terms of, what they use for composition is that they are using that basically as a word processor. So that is needed when they are writing papers or creating a poem, is that is all on their laptop. Does that answer?
Yeah, so it's basically their handwritten notes that they take in class. It should be organized in binder, and that should be primarily.
Yes, it should be. And I think teachers are, as a backup, posting all of their slides online, slides that they use during class that students are taking their handwritten notes from. That is for me, and I think the teachers, some of them probably have it posted in Scholar. I will do that with mine too, but just shared it via email and a Google Drive. So unfortunately, it's not 100% consistent, but I think the consistent piece is that you can find the majority on Scholar.
This may be printed somewhere, and I just forgot it, but for the grades on exams that are in December and then in spring, do they affect year-round grades, or is it specifically for the second semester? How does that work? Because I see in some things in Scholar where it's like, grade for the quarter overall grade, but it's only one or two classes, and maybe it's just called teacher enter that in, but I'm just curious if you see that.
Yes, so the semester exam grade will go into their overall semester average. But like this exam won't affect the spring set of grades. Did that answer your question?
Well, so where they have the fall and then the PL is after fall. Then you
Right.
have this, does that affect, I guess, PL and then, I don't know if there's a difference between what's considered PL and then like an overall honor grade, or I'm kind of unclear on.
Yes, my understanding is that the exam grade does count as part of what goes into your overall grade, which is then looked at for PL. It's not separate. What I don't know is if they take the semester average and then clump your exam grade in and calculate something versus is your exam just part of your second quarter grade, which then becomes part of your overall semester grade. And I need...
In other words, these first two quarters become the quote fall semester, and then the next two are considered the 2 quarters, and then considered quote spring in terms of training. Sorry.
Yes. No, it's a great question, and some of these I haven't encountered before, so I need to learn too. Yes, ma'am.
I was just going to share that, which was the on the computer. I do know that in some grammar class, they created study guides on Quizlet and stuff. So if they tell you that I am studying to build on something, or that you see it on app, you look at what is that, like I was going to actually create it. So just a heads up on that some of the classes are working on it. It's a real thing.
Quizlet is a real thing, and Kahoot is also a real thing.
Yeah. So I know that some of the boys together, they've been sharing with each other, so just heads up, but it is legit.
Yes.
Well, my sister classes too.
Thank you for bringing that up. Another one, if you didn't hear, is Kahoot. that is something that is also used as a, just a quiz, a fun way to quiz.
And they can quiz each other that way. I did not realize that they can actually time against each other, which might not be the best thing to do. Like, I didn't work myself not to do that because I never really want to.
Actually, that leads to a follow-up question on that. What are your thoughts on studying with friends?
Well, I think the two right people can do a great job with that. So, I think there is, listen, they are social, right? And so I think it's okay for them to study together. I think you just, as long as they are being productive and you don't feel like there's more time that's distracted than time that's on task. But I think talking out loud to each other, it's like they can teach each other concepts. They can quiz one another. It works, I think it can work well. And I see it work well in the PL room, which is right outside my office. This morning they were helping each other with their poetry recitation. And so I think, it's a good little team building activity for them. So I would say just kind of keep an eye on their productivity, but I would absolutely give it a shot. It's a good change of pace for them. Any other questions? Okay, just a quick, again, I talked through all of this last time, but just want to remind everyone that the summer Wilson Grant deadlines are a little closer than they were at our last meeting. The closest is our Rome tour. That application deadline is actually, oh my goodness, yep, that's today. So hopefully the boys are on that, those who want to apply. Time flies. And then just Miss Ellery will let them know before the winter break who has been accepted onto this trip. So if anyone applies and they are not accepted, they will still have time to apply for other Wilson grants over the summer. And for junior school, those are the U.S. History Landmarks Tour for current 7th graders, the local landmarks tour for current 7th graders, and then academic grants are opened up to 7th and 8th graders. There are a list of programs that are basically pre-approved, but students are also able to make a proposal to me via email for acceptance into a different program, and I would love to review anything that they are interested in doing this summer. If you can give me just a moment. I don't think they will be posted by the 9th, but let me double check my calendar here.
So it's not just what curriculum is like, you can look it up, or how do you go with the average vacancy in scholar?
Well, tell you what, it's getting harder to read without glasses. No, it looks to me like we will have grades posted by then. Yep. So I think that'll be fine. I did want to say that Dr. Bailey, he's a high school history teacher, he's the chair of the history department. He will lead the U.S. History Landmarks Tour. And then Mr. Perry, who has 2 sons in 7th grade, and was also one of the 7th grade football coaches this year, he will help lead the local landmarks tour, which will be around Nashville. But we, on Tuesday during break, are going to have an informational meeting for 7th graders if they just want to learn more about those trips. So we'll let them know about that, but I wanted to pass that along to you as well if you want to encourage your sons, 7th grade sons, to take a look at those trips. And then those are our academic ones. So they should have plenty of time over break to work on those applications if they're interested. So that's all I have for you today. I welcome any questions right now, and I also will stay up here afterward if you have any